Every season, there always seems to be a standout series. In this regard, 2015 has certainly seen its fair share of great anime. In particular, the spring and summer seasons were exceptionally strong. Spring brought the guilty pleasure of Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? It also brought with it the Romanzore Monogatari and the continuation of Uforable's Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and also countless others that I haven't had the time to watch yet. Summer brought the riveting Roka no Yusha, and the fantasy meets real-world epic of Gate. So now we are quickly approaching the end of the fall season, which, like the other seasons this year, brought with it a great bunch of shows. Norogami Aragoto and Owari Monogatari are some of my favorites from this season. So why am I going through all the trouble of naming a bunch of shows from this year? Well, the show I'm going to review today is, well, my frontrunner for actually the best show of the year. And given the fan favorites this year, and given the rest of the series that we actually got this year, that's pretty exceptional praise. It's almost a ridiculous amount of praise, but when it comes to ridiculous, well, that's what this show excels at. You know, of course I'm talking about One Punch Man, a show that's so ridiculous, but ridiculously amazing in every single way. I'm Bananaowns, and this is an Otaku Youth Anime Review. One Punch Man follows the adventures of the hero Saitama, as he valiantly battles the mysterious monsters that seemingly plague the entire population of humanity, or at least the cities that they reside in. However, Saitama is not your typical hero. In fact, he's probably one of the most overpowered characters that I've ever seen in an anime. Saitama obliterates pretty much every single monster or villain in One Punch. Hence the name One Punch Man. You guys get it? Saitama is also joined by another powerful individual, the cyborg Genos. Seeing Saitama's overwhelming power, Genos quickly installs himself as Saitama's disciple. The two join the Hero Association and come across a large variety of heroes who are pretty much all similarly weird. And with that little summary there, that's pretty much the entirety of the plot of One Punch Man. It doesn't get more complex than that. This is not an anime for those who are really looking for something deep and thought-provoking. I mentioned Owari Monogatari the other year, so in case you're wanting quick wit and dialogue, then sadly this is not the anime for you. If you liked more something akin to, let's say, a Gurren Lagann or a Kill la Kill, I feel like that would be more accurate to describe that. Maybe you'll like this one if you like those two, which I know I did, so hopefully, that's a good recommendation as well. The entirety of the story consists of Saitama and Genos interacting, while also, mentioning some Hero Association stuff on the side as they battle increasing threats to humanity. And this mainly serves to highlight the two main focuses of this series, which are action and comedy. So action and comedy is pretty much what you get with this show. It's not anything super deep of a plot. There's no huge plot twist. It's just a really basic story, which just serves to highlight the action and then highlight some of the more hilarious interactions, especially between Saitama and Genos, or pretty much anything involving Saitama, because he's pretty funny. Now, it would be disingenuous to say that there's no heartfelt moments. So any show that has to deal with heroes and their motivations will have some heartfelt moments about how the heroes will never give up or never lose the will to battle, which I think is just the same thing, so it's a little redundant, but I apologize. But it gets the point across. Most shows that focus on hero really do have a lot of emotionally charged moments like that. And One Punch Man is no exception in this regard, except for it's not the main focus. And for not having a deep story, it pretty much does exactly what it seeks to accomplish. It's a great action comedy, in fact one of the best this year, and if not the best this year. For such a comedic series, the characters of One Punch Man are surprisingly well done. Saitama is absolutely hilarious. A lot of the comedy from Saitama has to do with the indifference that he feels towards his opponents that he's fighting. At one point, he literally becomes overtly worried about a grocery store sale in the middle of a fight, and it's a pretty serious fight. That is not the entirety of his character, though. Saitama is actually rather complicated. He possesses an intense desire to be a hero, but his level of power makes it difficult to do so. Not in terms of defeating enemies, but in terms of facing a continuous disappointment with his enemies. He strongly desires to face someone with a similar level of strength, and it's evident by the first episode that it's been a long time since he was challenged in any way. Saitama is highly motivated in becoming a hero, but this motivation is tempered by boredom. And there's one last thing about Saitama. It's actually that, well, he's a great hero. He frequently takes the blame for other heroes' actions. He frequently is not often credited with his heroic deeds. Most of the time they get either shot down or even taken by other heroes as their accomplishments. But he really does not care about this. He mostly just wants to be a hero. As for his disciple Genos, well, Genos is more of the serious character. He's more of the straight man of the show. So his backstory deals with him seeking vengeance for the murders of his family by a cyborg that attacked his village. So that's his main motivation for becoming stronger. It's for revenge. However, over the course of the series, you actually see Genos soften a bit as he interacts with Saitama more and more. A large portion of his character development actually comes from being the disciple of Saitama. And due to the bulk of the series focusing on the interaction between these two, it's actually really well done. And this would make or break the show, and I'm glad to say it totally makes the show. So you have Saitama, who's the hero for fun, he's silly, but he's highly motivated. And then you have his protege, Genos, who is motivated by revenge, but gets kind of tempered away. And then in the middle of all of this, you have a lot of comedic moments dealing with a lot of villains, or even just normal interactions between the two. So watching these two interact really is a recurring highlight throughout the series. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything particular between these two, because that's really one of the reasons why you should be watching is the comedic aspect. Just note that maybe the interactions with the other heroes can kind of get ridiculous at times. And this really does fit in with the overall tone of One Punch Man. It's an action comedy. It's not meant to be taken too seriously. However, I will briefly discuss one of my favorite characters of the series, and that is Moomin Rider. He's a lower class hero that rides a bicycle. Is everyone still shocked? It's amazing how they managed to turn such a pathetic character into an absolute monster in terms of respect. He is utterly ridiculous, but he's one of the more interesting side characters of the show. So during the story portion of the review, I mentioned that there were a few moments that were very emotional. Well, Moomin Rider actually is the one responsible for a significant amount of these moments. When he pops up on the screen, you just want to root for him. And it's kind of a running gag is that he kind of gets stomped on, or at least he's no match for any of the threats. But every time he comes on the screen, you just can't help but cheer. He's that good of a character. Overall, Saitama and Genos are pretty good characters. The interactions between them are amazing. Where the show kind of falters a little bit, and this is more of a nitpick than anything, it's some of the heroes in the Hero Association, mostly the lower ranked ones, the fodder, they're almost kind of like red shirts in Star Trek. Those ones can be very forgettable despite some craziness of designs and craziness of abilities. Nothing really stands out, especially when you have an anime like this one where everything is crazy. So when you have everything become crazy, a lot of the crazy characters kind of become the norm, especially if they don't get a lot of time, which most of the other heroes do not get a lot of time. So that's more of a minor nitpick. But, it's just something to talk about. One Punch Man was animated by Studio Madhouse, largely known for their 2011 adaptation of Hunter x Hunter. Madhouse also hired what basically amounts to an all-star team to produce the show. The result is something that managed to incorporate the comedic elements with some absolutely amazing action scenes. Let's start with a look at some of the more comedic scenes. There's a running joke throughout the series, or maybe it's more of a design aesthetic that involves this dopey look on Saitama's face. It is oftentimes drawn like a caricature, except for when he gets serious, and then it reverts back to a typical anime face. Similarly, the animation does an excellent job at bringing some of the kooky monsters to life. I am just flat out impressed that they were able to animate these things and to make some of them actually look very threatening. The first episode alone has a crab man, a colossal man, and a race of subterranean people. Now, if you don't know what you're getting into just by hearing that one description, then I can't help you at all. Any one of these characters looks like the result of a bad LSD trip, but they're animated so well, especially since most of the monsters, when they're on screen, are involved in fight scenes. Speaking of the fight scenes, every single one's just a visual treat. The animation is fluid, with a variety of stylistic choices that really do make Saitama appear very deadly. In terms of animation highlights, well, there is one scene that involves a sparring session between Genos and Saitama, and it's absolutely outstanding. It's one of the most beautifully animated fights of this year. It's a safe bet to assume that any fight scene of Genos is going to look absolutely amazing. The way his robotic parts move on screen, coupled with multiple blasts of fire, make his scene stand out immensely. I will only show a brief clip here of the sparring match between Saitama and Genos because it really does deserve to be viewed outside of a review setting. It's astounding what they managed to do with this show. It has stylish choices for comedy, and the action looks amazing. The overall sound quality for One Punch Man is just like the animation. It's great. The many splatters and explosions sound as one would expect. The plethora of sound effects for Genos, especially those involving his robotic components, sound amazing. There really isn't anything atypical about the sound design. It does everything it needs to, more or less. Where One Punch Man does excel is in the music. Certain scenes exhibiting more emotion carry with it the appropriate upswell in the music. However, the music shines during the fight scenes. Fight theme of One Punch Man is the perfect mix of aggression and optimism. It's the type of music that would be absolutely perfect on a gym playlist. Perfect music to get the blood pumping, to get amped, especially as you watch the show. My one critique of One Punch Man is the relatively short fight scenes. Because the fight scenes are relatively short, because most of the time Saitama wins in one punch, I don't get to hear the awesome action music that much. I mean, that's a pretty good problem to have, is that my one critique is that I can't hear the music as much as I want to. That's a pretty good critique to have. I suppose I should also mention the opening song. Well, it's just as fantastic as the rest of the music. It's the perfect intro. In the 13 episode run, I have done something that I have never done for any other anime. That is watch the intro every single time. It serves as the perfect start to every episode of One Punch Man. Kind of similar to how perfect the fight theme is for everything. However, this one carries the extra caveat of having some awesome, amazing, and very catchy lyrics. One Punch Man is this year's standout anime. It executes comedy and action so well that each episode is a combination of laughter and awe. The characters and the overall story embrace these aspects so well. Everything is animated so smoothly with an extra attention to detail paid for both action and for comedy. That is One Punch Man broken down to its purest components. It is the perfect blend of action and comedy. Throw in the killer soundtrack and One Punch Man has the potential to be one of the best anime in recent memory. My final verdict is to watch this freaking show. Everyone should watch it right now, and if you're not planning to, there really is no excuse. You can watch it for free on daisuki.net. Free streaming. Free legal streaming. There really is no excuse. So One Punch Man earns my Bananaowns stamp of approval. So thanks for watching this review. I'll be back next week with another anime review.